Hello, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. I am live and I'm covering the Trump rally in Bronx, New York. So they're just having a little bit of a music break right now. Not really my cup of tea of music, but I try to be a little easygoing, fun loving. And so I just heard Representative Byron Donalds out of Florida speak. So I hope that you guys can join me right now, and I hope you're having a fabulous Thursday. I see we have a Natalie Dawson. How are you? Hope you guys are doing great. We have got to get Trump back in office. How do you guys feel about that? Now, I've been hearing a lot of news about a lot of different things. One of the things, and I am posting a video about that, and it's coming out today. So I don't want you guys to check out my video that's going live at 8 p.m. It's not a live video, but I'm going to publish it to YouTube at 8 p.m. today, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I want you all to check it out. I want you to really check it out and really check out my Rumble channel. Chat with me, Linda B, but type it in as one word. I really need you to support me on Rumble. So I am going to get back to the rally. Does anybody know if Trump is coming to Georgia? I'm trying to find that out. I live in Georgia. Ooh, sorry about the language, y'all. The language is kind of rough. So sorry about the language. Just a moment. So this is amazing. Oh, hey, let's see what's happening. All right. I don't hear anything. They lost sound, they lost audio. That's not me. He's looking like, what's going on? That's not me, guys. I don't know how many people are there. I don't know. I know when they were in Jersey at the Jersey Shore, it was 100,000 people there, but I don't know, how many people are here. But I'm excited, you guys. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think the Dems are going to try and do? I think they got an audio problem here. There we go. Got audio. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. Yeah, we need more macho men, don't we, ladies? I know, me too. So we could actually see. I want to see the crowd. You know that Trump has more people at his rallies than Biden does, right? That's no surprise. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I am trying to get to a rally. I know Turning Point is going to be in Detroit, Michigan. So, Warriors, I am covering Bronx, New York Trump rally. You all comment, let me know how you're feeling today. Hope you all are excited as I am to be in the country that we live in. I am wearing my very patriotic shirt. Love the US of A. And you guys, hope you're having a great Thursday. Now, this is, again, like I say, in the Bronx, in New York. And I think they're probably waiting on Trump. I'm not sure. I wish we could get a view of the crowd. People are excited. So excited. The energy is electric. Hey, everybody. Hey, good to see y'all. So good to see you guys. So this is totally live. They're live. I'm live. Everything's live. So things don't go perfect when you're in the real world when you go live. So I may have a little background noise. So forgive me. I have a pet, a dog. Yes, Trump 2024. You guys share my videos. Tell all your friends and family. I'm glad to know and see you guys are coming here. We've got Natalie, Marty, LA Rams. Hi, Connie G. Connie G. Hey, 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 hey. They've been playing this song forever. You know, the Dems are going to try and pull something out of their hat. I love the diversity. Me too. I so love it. We are the United States of America. United. United we stand. All right, who's next? Who's going to speak? USA, USA. Put my shirt on. I got to get me some Trump shirts. Oh, see a platitude. Thank you. Love you guys. USA, USA, USA all day. Come on, I'm ready to hear Trump. Who do you want to see Trump pick as VP? Let me know. You want to see, Natalie wants to see Byron Donalds. Tommy wants to see Byron Donalds. I do too, but I read that because they're both in Florida, that he can't pick him. That's what I heard. That's what I read anyway under the comment section. We've got three for Byron Donalds, Tulsi or Byron. I like Tulsi. I like her heart. Tulsi has like a beautiful heart to me. Hello, Terry from Chicago. Chicago, you guys got a lot going on in Chicago. Terry, you got a lot going on. But then I'm in Georgia, and I'm not in Fulton County, but we have a lot going on too. Now Trump is getting a great welcome from New York. Every time he goes to New York, he gets a great welcome. And you know, New York is traditionally dark blue. Could it turn red? Just could it turn red? Oh, hey, Dorothy, you're in Georgia too. Okay. Yes, California for Trump, Santa Monica. Hello from North Carolina. Hey there, Robert. Hope everyone's doing well. Good to see you all. I think so too, because I like Byron Donalds because he has that very strong personality, that alpha male. He doesn't put up with mess. He's for the right thing and he's powerful. I like that. Bring on the manly men. I'm all for that. I know, right? LA Rams, boo, Joe Biden. You guys know my nickname for Joe Biden, right? What's my nickname? Who's the first person to type in the nickname that I give Joe Biden? Who watches my videos regularly? What's my nickname for Joe Biden? Oh, you don't think he can do that, Linda? Oh, come on. I- Oh, what's cheater? Always a cheater. Mm. Oh, no, that you got to guess my nickname for Joe Biden. I almost said it. It fits him too. It fits him. I got a nickname for everybody. Yes, Marty. Jim Crow Joe. That's my nickname. It fits, right? Mm-hmm. 80, that's it, Natalie. Making out the old school hits. What are they waiting on? They're still waiting on Trump. Okay. All right, LA Rams. Terry from, I'm sorry, y'all, I can't see it. Temecula, California. I know I don't want that to be though, Linda Smith. I don't want that to be. I'm just prayer warriors. We got to pray against all the evil corruption. What can you do? We can't have this happen again. I just won't be able to take it. It took me a while to catch on to what they were doing, you guys. So forgive me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, here we go.
please welcome the next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. And I'm proud to be an
Woo.
American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from
Oh, yes,
sea
let
to
our plan on.
shining sea,
Pray, pray, pray.
Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA.
Pray,
There's
pray, pray.
pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who had right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very much. This is some turnout. This is some turnout. And I want to thank New York's finest. They just brought a lot of additions. So we have people, thousands of people outside that can't even get in, but they'll get in eventually. We appreciate it. New York's finest. Hello, New York City, and hello to all of the incredible, tough, strong, hardworking American patriots right here in the Bronx. Who would think? Who would think? I'm thrilled to be back in the city I grew up in, the city I spent my life in, the city I helped build, and the city that we all love, New York City. And I'm here tonight to declare that we are going to turn New York City around, and we are going to turn it around very, very quickly. We're going to bring safety back to our streets. We're going to bring success back to our schools. We're going to bring prosperity back to every neighborhood and every borough of the greatest city in our land. We're going to reduce taxes. We're going to bring businesses and big taxpayers back to New York. Gotta bring them back. Gotta bring them back. And we're going to make New York bigger, better, and more beautiful than ever before. And that includes right here in the Bronx. And it's going to be done and funded starting on January 20th, directly from our great and beautiful White House. Is that okay? For my whole life, I always thought that this city is a monumental testament to the power of the American spirit and the American dream. When New York started as a small, rugged Dutch trading post near the tip of Manhattan in 1624, what you see around you is nothing more than wilderness and marsh. But by the muscle and backbone and genius of the people of New York, we built the city into the towering forest of iron, aluminum, concrete, and steel. We made this city and state into the capital of global commerce. We turned our hometown into the bustling center of a confident, glamorous American culture, and we inspired the entire world. We inspired the world. No matter where you went on this planet, everyone knew that when you said, I'm a New Yorker, it meant you had smarts, you had grit, you had energy, and above all else, you had
You had heart, big, big, beautiful heart. Everybody wanted to be here. New York was where you came to make it big. You want to make it big, you had to be in New York. But sadly, this is now a city in decline. My life, I've seen New York through good times and bad, through boom times and crime waves, through market crashes and terrorist attacks, but I've never seen it quite like this. We have filthy encampments of drugged out homeless people living in our places that we've spent so much time with children where they used to play. We have lunatics killing innocent bystanders by pushing them on. It's a sad thing. Don't worry. It gets positive. Don't worry. It gets so positive. Remember, we're going to win. We're all winners. We're going to win so big. We're going to make it bigger and better than ever before. Remember that. So don't worry. By the time the other 6,000 or 7,000 people get in, it'll be very positive. Our subways are squalid and unsafe. The ceiling tiles are falling down, and they look worse than a third world country. The medians of our highways are crumbling. Our sidewalks are littered with garbage, bottles, and trash. But worst of all, the discarded needles from people that so desperately are in need of help. And we have mobs of migrants fighting our police officers and giving America the middle finger. But we are not going to let this continue. We are not going to abandon our hope and our pride. This city has given us so much, and now it is time that we are going to give it back. Together, we are going to make New York City great again, and simultaneously, we're going to make America great again. Thank you. I have come tonight to talk about solving problems. The simple fact is Joe Biden is not getting the job done for the Bronx. He's not getting the job done for New York, and he's not getting the job done for America. He is incompetent, ladies and gentlemen. He is grossly incompetent. I want the job done as I did for 4 years, and I will get it done fast. Remember this, if a New Yorker can't save this country, no one can. No one can. Get me the snake, please. The snake. Thank you, everybody. What a crowd. This is something. You know, we wanted to keep it small. Who knew? This is like a love fest. Love fest. It's a love fest. We love you. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Wow.
We want Trump.
Who said we're not going to win New York? We're going to win New York so bad. The whole thing. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? We'll take back our country and we'll do a job like nobody's ever done before. And what we did for 4 years was incredible, but we also learned a lot. We're going to get in there very fast with the right people, great people, people that are tested and true. Go there, rink, the Wollman Rink in the middle of Central Park. You know that story? That had been under construction for more than 10 years. They couldn't get it open. It was a renovation. They couldn't get it done. Mayor Koch was at his wits' ends. They just couldn't get it finished. They couldn't get it built. They couldn't get it open. People wanted to skate before their children turned old. Almost 20 for a long period of time. It was an embarrassment to the city. Every day they'd be laying the copper pipe, and every night that same pipe would be stolen. And then they'd start all over again the next day, and it would be stolen. And months and months. They poured the concrete in small patches, and they took their company from Miami, 95 degrees out. Total mess. Didn't know what they were doing. And I saw this, and I wanted my children to be able to ice skate before they didn't care about ice skating. I years and years, so I volunteered and did a
I'm so sorry, y'all, about this, the visuals here. I think that's on their end.
more than
It
$2
might be.
million. I would pay for it, the entire amount. All the Montreal Canadiens hockey team in Canada, right? Isn't that better than a refrigerator company from Miami? They didn't know what we were talking about. But the Montreal Canadiens knew. Forget how nice they were. And they told me that you don't want to use copper tubing and gas because the gas is very delicate and it leaks. It's very fragile. It just doesn't work. You want to use rubber hose. I said, I like that. That's a lot cheaper. Water and salt. The salt makes it so the water doesn't freeze. It's called brine. And you're going to put that under the concrete. You're going to pour the concrete over the top. It's going to be great. It's going to work. Not going to leak. It's cheaper, faster, and it works all the time. And when we opened, there were no leaks. There were no problems whatsoever. Anyway, I started the project, laid the rubber hose, mixed the water and the salt beautifully together. I was down there when they were doing it. I said, you got to do it right. And covered the entire rink with concrete in four, literally, you had to see this scene. Concrete trucks operated by the Teamsters. Do we have any Teamsters here? Oh. You got to make sure that O'Brien, he's a good man. He endorses Trump. I think he's going to, actually. But the Teamsters, it stretched all the way. You had trucks stretching all the way from the Wollman Rink, which was, let's say, at 60th Street, all the way back to Harlem. One contiguous pour. It was a day and a half of pouring concrete. One contiguous giant surface. As you know, the rink was completed in just 3 months for far less than the $2 million projected. The biggest expense was actually the demolition. That is the demolishing of everything that was built so incorrectly, so badly over it. Plus was demolition. We opened with a ceremony with all Olympic gold medal winners, including the great Peggy Fleming, Dorothy Hamill, Scott Hamilton, and all of the others, every one of them. Weather. It was one of the most parents were there. Now they're looking down.
You guys, sorry about this. I don't know it's really not me. It's something that's going on here. It is not me, I promise. So I am going to exit out of this. Okay, I'll stay. It came back. Okay. Well, all right, guys. Well, it's frozen. It's really not me. It is something going on. When you go live, you have technical issues. Anything can happen. And man-made things don't they're not perfect. They don't always work. What can you say? What can you do? So I'm glad to have gone live with you all and had a little fun. I can't stay on forever, but I have to go have dinner with my family. And I appreciate you all joining. I just ask that you kindly tell everybody
Sure.
about my
And
YouTube
at
channel.
the time, the mayor, Michael
Listen, you
Bloomberg,
can-
said, no, it's all right. It's okay. Now, Michael Bloomberg was the mayor, and he called me. He said, I have to get this done before I finish my term. It was very important to him. He was embarrassed by it. Everybody was embarrassed. It was through went through a lot of different mayors. Almost 30 years, remember that. And he said, in all fairness, he said, I want to get this done. No, this has been going on for years, decades. They were unable to do it. And at the time, the mayor, Michael Bloomberg, said, no, it's all right. It's okay. Now, Michael Bloomberg was the mayor, and he called me. He said, I have to get this done before I finish my term. It was very important to him. He was embarrassed by it. Everybody was embarrassed. It was through Mayor Koch. It went through a lot of different mayors. Almost 30 years, remember that. And he said, in all fairness, he said, I want to get this done, and you're the one that can do it. You're the only one that can do it. And I said, and I will do it. I will get it done. And we got it done before he finished his term, which was great. But there were no other bidders to my knowledge. And I took over the project, spending only my money to build it. And I called all of the contractors together. These were tough people. These were tough, hard people. Many of you are probably contractors on that site. And I said, look, fellas, you guys have made a fortune on this thing for years and years against the city. It's time we get together and build it. Let's get it built. Let's do it right. And let's get the hell out of here. We owe it to the city. And they worked so hard. The roughest, toughest contractors in New York. They had spirit like you've never seen before. And it was magnificently designed by the great Jack Nicklaus, who told me, I don't want to make any more money. They paid me enough. Everybody got paid a fortune. Jack said, I don't want money. I just want to see it get built for the people of New York. And that's what we did. But everybody, just like Jack, they said very similar things. These guys were rough and tough, and they made a lot of money, but you'd think they'd want to make more, but they didn't. They just wanted to get it built. And in just a little more than a year, so this was going on for 30 years, including, think of it, just a magnificent thing to watch. You had to watch these people working, just the opposite of what took place for the first 29 years. But we had a magnificent world-class golf course that many of you have played now, and it's rated as one of the best public courses in the country. And then a short while later, we built a beautiful clubhouse, one of the prettiest I've seen, built it, completed. The project was absolutely beautiful. It opened to great fanfare and great success. And do you want to hear the end result, though? Should I go off teleprompter and tell you the end result? You think Biden goes off teleprompter? I don't think so. He's no good on teleprompter. No, but okay, so I did this beautiful job. And then we had a dispute over January 6th. We had a dispute. And they said, January 6th, we want to terminate his agreement with the city, had a long-term agreement with the city. And they sent me a notice of termination. I said, wait a minute. I just spent $25 million building it, built this magnificent clubhouse. It's in full operation. It took you 29 years. You were spending hundreds of millions of dollars. You couldn't get it done. And the neighborhood came to court totally for me. The Bronx neighborhood, it's in the Bronx. It's on the East River in the Bronx. And we went to court. The city sued to break my agreement that they had just made. And I had done such a great job for them. And it was accolades everywhere. Golf Magazine, all of the big magazines were saying, what a great job. They terminated my agreement. And I went to court. And I will tell you, I had sued to break my agreement that they had just made. And I had done such a great job for them. And it was accolades everywhere. Golf Magazine, all of the big magazines were saying, what a great job. They terminated my agreement. And I went to court. And I will tell you, I had a very good experience. We had a Supreme Court justice named Deborah James, and I have to give her credit. I didn't know her, never met her. Deborah James, a African-American woman who came to my defense. We explained it, and the city explained it. They said, we want to terminate. They had no reason. And we said what we just said. And she looked at them, and she said, in effect, how dare you? This man came in, he put up his own money. He did an incredible job. You were building it for 29 years. How dare you ask for this to be terminated? How unfair is that? Deborah James, a great Supreme Court justice. That's all I can tell you. And we won the case. But it's not easy doing business in New York, I'll tell you. Not easy. So I just appreciated that. I had to tell that story. And as you know, then I renovated Grand Central Terminal. I built the Grand Hyatt Hotel on 42nd Street and Park Avenue. And as part of that, I renovated the beautiful Grand Central Terminal, did a really good job of that. And then I was very much responsible for the construction of the Jacob Javits Convention Center, where Hillary Clinton was going to have her big evening. That was not good. Remember? We had the glass ceiling. You know, we built glass ceiling. She said, we're going to break the glass ceiling. It didn't work out. You know, I'll tell you a little secret that I don't think I've ever. I hated the concept. I said, we have to get on with our country. We have to win against Russia. We have to win against China, North Korea, all the different countries we're at loggerheads with. But as long as you have a smart president, you're going to win those battles. We're winning all those battles, even with the fake Russia scam, which made it harder. But you hated that. And then you see what they want to do to us, to me, to us. And they come along and they don't mind, because Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of our country, has no sense, doesn't know what he's doing, grossly incompetent, and our country is going to hell, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast. Because above all else, and I say this, and I believe this on New York, is you are different. You do know that. You know that when I called for this rally, we said, let's just have a meeting. Don't call it a rally. And so many people showed up. I said, like it or not, this is a rally. This is as far as the eye can see. You have to see the lines outside. They're going for miles. But when we saw it and we saw the love, because I called up this morning, do the people like me or do they hate me? They said, they don't like you, sir. They love you. I said, good, thank you. So I appreciate it. And I love you too. But above all else, boy, look at all the cameras back there. That's amazing. That's the fake news. Yeah. You know, they'll say tonight, Donald Trump spoke to a very small crowd of people in the Bronx. It was a very hostile crowd, very hostile. They hated him very much. No, sometimes they're okay. You know, I agreed to do a debate with crooked Joe Biden on CNN with Fake Tapper. And I think they'll be fair. Does anybody think they'll be fair? I might be. That's all right. When they said, here's your story, you can have a debate on CNN with Fake Tapper as the primary host. And I said, I'll do it. Because you know what they thought is you'd say CNN and they'd say various people on the show, various anchors, and, you know, headed up by Fake Tapper. And they thought I was going to reject it. I don't want to do it. Then Biden would say, I offered to debate, but he wouldn't do it. So they said, we want to have a debate. I'll take it. Well, we haven't even told you what the debate is all about. Then they said today, they said, we'd like to set up tables so you sit down. I said, I don't want to sit down for a debate. Let's go. At some point, So we're not sitting down. We're going to be standing up for the debate. And here's what you know. If crooked Joe Biden makes it through the debate, which I think he will, they're going to say it was one of the great debate performances in history. One of the greatest debate performances. But there they are. And we're on every network tonight. I don't know what's going on. We're on Fox. We're on all of them. So have a lot of fun, but we're on all of them. So they understood. They understood before anyone how big this would be. And you got to see what's back there coming in. Thank you. Thank you. But above all, New Yorkers have something called common sense, and we do have common sense. An old-fashioned American common sense is exactly what I intend to bring back to the White House, just like we had for 4 years. You know, we had 4 of the greatest years in the history of our country. We rebuilt the military, we cut taxes, the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. We defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS, and we did it in about 1/100th the time. They said it would take 4 to 5 years. It took me like 2 months, right? Because we have an incredible military and we're not allowed to show. They had Afghanistan, the worst pullout, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. It's probably the reason, a piece of it, why Russia went into Ukraine. They said, these people are incompetent. We'll go in. So Russia going into Ukraine would have never happened. None of this stuff that you see would have happened. Israel would have never happened, the attack on October 7th, and you wouldn't have had inflation. As soon as I get back into the Oval Office, I am going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call your mayor and your governor, and I'm going to say, this is President Trump, and I want to come back and help. Look, you have a Democrat governor, you have a Democrat mayor, and we are going to work with them, and we're going to get this state and this city at a level that it's never seen before, frankly. I think we can do that, too. We're going to be helping them a lot, much more than anybody would expect. It doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans, because this is about our city and our country, and it's really about the people. And in this case, the people of New York City, New York State. We're going to make you very, very happy. And Biden can't do it. He doesn't know he's alive. You know, see all the stairs here? Stair, 2 of them behind me, 1 in the middle. When he's finished with his 2.5 minute, do you ever watch his speech? They last for about 1.5 minutes. When he's finished with his speech, he can never find the stairs. He can never find the stairs. And when he does, it's not a pretty picture either. Thank goodness for Secret Service. They come up and they guide him off. No, this is not what we need. When you see President Xi of China, when you see Kim Jong-un of North Korea, when you see Putin, and you see all of these people, they're at the top of their game, whether you like it or not, and they can't believe that this has happened to the United States. We have lost respect all over the world. We were the most respected country in the world 4 years ago. We were respected more than our country was ever respected 4 years ago, and now we're being laughed at. We're like a joke, and that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We're going to do whatever it takes to fix our roads, bridges, and highways. We're going to take back our parks, not just for children, but for everybody. We're going to renovate New York's subway system so it no longer looks like it hasn't been cleaned since 1932, but rather it will be the most beautiful transit system anywhere in the world. I don't know if you know it. It's by far the biggest infrastructure, subway infrastructure in the world. And we're going to make it by far the biggest. And now we're going to make it by far the best. We're going to make it beautiful again. And a lot of it is topical. The expensive work people don't understand because they're not in construction. It's topical work. It's topical. It's built. The expensive, the hard, the labor, the money, the big stuff is done. We're going to make it beautiful. We're going to make it good. And most importantly, we're going to let New York's finest do its job. The transit cops do their job. We're going to make it safe. Most importantly. And importantly for the people that are before me today, we are going to make life in New York affordable again. It's gotten totally out of control. The minute crooked Joe Biden shuffles out the door, I will rapidly rebuild the greatest economy, the history of the world. Look, we had the greatest economy in history. Everybody here, where you have a small business or if you had a job, you were getting more than you ever made. And we had no inflation. We had no 1.4%, considered none, considered better than none, because frankly, none in its own way is a bad thing also. We had a perfect number, 1.4%. It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are. It doesn't matter. We are all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans. We all want better opportunity. I'm not just going to promise it. I'm going to deliver it, as I did just a short while ago. Think of it. You know, when I went down to Washington, I was only there 17 times. I never stayed over. I didn't know that society. And we had great people. Look at what we did with economic development, with the rebuilding of our military, with the tax cuts, we had great people. But we also had some people that I wouldn't have used if I had my choice. Now I know everybody. I know the smart ones. I know the dumb ones. I know the killers. I know the weak ones. I know them all. And you're going to see. But everyone was better off. We had the greatest economy in history. Everybody was better off under a man named President Donald J. Trump. Have you ever heard of him? Have you heard of him? We had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon, and actually times when it was much lower than that. We had a record low poverty rate for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans. We had the best poverty rate in terms of the positive number ever in our history for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans. We lifted 6.6 million people out of poverty. Nothing like that has ever happened in our country. And the real middle class income rose over $6,000 a year. Think of that. Under Biden, it's a disaster. Real middle class income has fallen over $2,000 a year. That's a lot. That's a difference of $8,000. Real earnings for African Americans are down 5.6%. African Americans are getting slaughtered. Hispanic Americans are getting slaughtered. And these millions and millions of people that are coming into our country, the biggest impact and the biggest negative impact is against our Black population and our Hispanic population, who are losing their jobs, losing their housing, losing everything they can lose. They're the ones that are affected most by what's happening. Not only the fact that you've lost the use of your schools, your parks, and your hospitals. Joe Biden's inflation. Do they have that? Do they have it? Speaking of the wall, so we built much more wall than we built 571 miles of wall. We had the safest border in history. We were going to put up within a period of 3 weeks. It was all built, laying there, ready to be put up, designed by the Border Patrol, who are incredible people, ICE, who are incredible people, all together. I wanted to put up concrete plank for the contractors here. They didn't want it. They had to have hardened steel. They wanted 6,000, 7,000 pound concrete. They wanted rebar in the middle. They wanted different materials, harder to cut. So we had very hard steel, very good stuff. Everything was good. We had the panel on top. It was called an anti-climb panel. We had the best wall, and it was going to bid. We were going to add 200 miles of wall. It would have taken about 3 weeks. And then we had the rigged election. And you know what happened after the rigged election? They took the wall, and instead of putting it up, they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. And I said, these people really do want to have an open border. And that's what's happened to our country. Our country has gone to hell because of it. It's gone to hell. But I want to thank Mexico. I want to thank, because I went to Mexico. We really have no choice. He said, send them back. There's a chance, send them back. Nobody wants to send anybody back, but you have no choice. This is not sustainable by any country, right? This is not sustainable. But we had Mexico, and we went to Mexico, and I said to the president of Mexico, good man, by the way, a very good guy, happens to be a socialist, but these are minor details. I said to him, Mr. President, we need you to give us 28,000 soldiers to guard the wall. He said, well, how much would you pay for that? I said, nothing. I'm not paying anything. You're sending them in. They're coming in caravans. You have to do it. And he smiled and he laughed. He thought it was funny. He thought it was like, I was kidding. I said, no. They're coming in through Mexico. We need 28,000 soldiers free of charge. And he said, Donald, I cannot do that. I said, here's what you do. I don't want to embarrass you, so I'm not going to negotiate with you. Send me a negotiator. Give me a top negotiator. I want to see him. And he came to the White House, a very handsome man, dressed in one of the most beautiful suits I've ever seen. In fact, I was going to ask him, who is your tailor? I'd like to buy one of those suits, but I didn't think it was appropriate to start the negotiation that way. And I said, you know that you're going to give us 28,000 soldiers, don't you? No, we are not going to. We will never do that. I said, of course you're going to. 100%. He said, we're not going to. He said, no way. I said, way. You're going to give it. He said, 100%. And you're also going to have a new policy. It's called Remain in Mexico. Nobody can come into our country until they're free. And then you're going to have catch and release into Mexico. We have catch and release into our country. Even if they're criminals, we catch them, we check them, we see they're a criminal, we release them, we say, come back 5 years later, you'll have a court case. Nobody ever comes back. So I said to the State Department, and a wonderful woman, but a bad negotiator, I said to the State Department, give me a top 10 list. Give me a top 10 things. I said to ICE and Border Patrol, give me a top 10. They gave me a top 10 list. And a lot of it had to do with all of the horrible disease that pours through. People that have highly contagious diseases are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before. So many other things. And they gave me a top 10 list, but they laughed. They said, sir, they'll never do. We've been trying to get this stuff for 25 years. I said, if I were a betting man, I would bet you any amount of money. You'll have it very quickly. So this man comes in. I said, we want a policy, remain in Mexico, Tijuana. Hundreds of probably the fastest growing city in the world for a period of a year. That place was loaded up with people. They weren't allowed into our country. And we had already built a lot of the wall, a tremendous amount, 571 miles. Without that, we couldn't have ever done this. And he said that we're not going to do it, sir. I said, you are going to do it. He said, we're not. I said, here's the story. I'm not going to mess around with you. I have to go. I have a very important meeting, much more important than this. I said, here's the story. You're either going to do it. It's Friday evening. Or on Monday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, we are going to put a 25% tariff on everything that Mexico sends into our country. And then 1 month later, if you don't do it, we're going to put a 50%. Then we're going to go 75. And because I'm a nice person, we're going to stop at a 100% tariff. And and I had it literally written. I'm saying, should I sign it or not? Am I going to waste the ink or not? Because I'll sign it right now. On Monday morning at 7 o'clock, you're going to pay up to $100 tariff. He said, sure, I'd like to make a phone call. I said, I wonder who you're going to call. Let me guess. You're going to call the president. He comes back 3 minutes later. Sir, it would be our great honor to give you 28,000 soldiers free of charge. It would be our great honor to have a policy of remain in Mexico. Anyway, we got all 10 things. It took about like 10 minutes. It was not. And now the other day, did you see? Mexico said to crooked Joe Biden, we want $20 billion a year just for the privilege of negotiating with you. We want you to pay us. Did you see that? It was a little article. You hardly. There's a slight difference. Would you say? He would have never asked that. He would have never asked it. So he said they want 20 billion. 20 billion, not 20 million's a lot. They want 20 with a B, $20 billion a year just for the privilege of negotiating with Mexico. And you would never get the things that they gave up, remain in Mexico. They gave up catch and release in Mexico. They gave up everything. They gave up everything. They did. They did give up the Constitution. Joe Biden, his inflation has cost the average New York household a staggering $24,000. Think of that. Because The costs have gone up so much. Bacon has gone, I don't eat bacon anymore. It's too expensive. It's true. It's gone up like 4 times. I said, what's with bacon? But if you look at the Biden price hikes, very much caused the runaway inflation, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen before, anything like it. And they're costing average New York families $1,000 a month just in the inflationary costs. I call it the Biden inflation tax because it's a tax. On day one, we're going to throw out Bidenomics. They're going to replace it with Maganomics, like your hats, Maganomics. And I will give you lower taxes. We're going to cut it still lower. Remember, when I cut taxes, I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan tax cuts. And you know what? The following year, we reported massive increases in revenue. So with lower taxes, we actually took in more money because it gave incentive for people to work. Lots of reasons. But I will give you low taxes, low inflation, low interest rates, rising wages, growing incomes, and fair trade for the American worker. And we will make energy affordable again by saying, drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Your energy costs will come down within the first year by 50%. That's not bad. That's a hell of a promise. And it will, too. We can drop that so quickly. Remember, it was his stupid energy policies that caused the inflation. Now it's more than energy. Now everything's like on fire. The whole place is a mess. We will quickly return our nation to the path of prosperity, and we will bring our country back together through unparalleled success. Our country is going to be very successful, and people are going to come together. And I will tell you, a lot of people say, do you think you can ever get the sides together? And by the way, I have to say something. Our side is much bigger than their side. You see that? Much bigger. We're more quiet, much more quiet. But when we get going, we're much tougher, right? We're much tougher. But it is much bigger. But I saw it. We had the greatest economy in history. And I was getting calls from the other side. I call it the radical left. But left-leaning, to put it mildly, Democrats, can we get together? Because everybody had the best they've ever had. African-American jobs were the best in history. Asian American, the best in history. Hispanic, the best in history. Women, people with a diploma, people without a diploma, people that went to the great Wharton School of Finance, MIT, Harvard, they were doing better. And the people that didn't have a high school diploma were having the best. Everybody was better. There wasn't one group, not one, that went down. And it was bringing our country together. So it can happen. And when they ask, because I get that question a lot, do you think the sides can ever get together? And I went through the experience, and we can get together. And then we had COVID come in, and we had to fight that battle. And we did a great, I've been recognized as having created a great economy and great military, defeating ISIS and all the things. We rebuilt the entire military, created Space Force, all those things. We never got the credit, and we had no wars. Thank you, sir. That's very nice. Remember, Hillary Clinton used to point at me, he will create wars. No. They said his personality will create wars. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars. And I was right. First president in 78 years that didn't start a war. We had no wars. None of these stupid wars. Such a shame. When you see all the people that died in these horrible wars in the Middle East and everything else, countries didn't want us, dropping bombs all over the place. Spent $9 trillion in the Middle East. We bomb the hell out of the place, then we leave. In the old days, to the victor belong the spoils. We don't do that. We bomb the hell out of everyone, then we come back home. It's so sick. It's so sick and so stupid. These people that led us are so stupid. You want to use that as a last resort. You can solve these problems with a meeting or with a telephone call. You don't have to drop billions of dollars worth of bombs on people's heads. You don't have to. It's called peace through strength. It really is. And there's no reason for it. What they did in the Middle East is so incredible. They bombed the hell out of the place, and then they left. But to the victor belong the spoils. We didn't do that. Now, in Iraq years ago, I was a civilian, but I got a lot of publicity for whatever the hell reason. And I said, don't go into Iraq, don't go into Iraq, don't go into Iraq. But if you're going to go in, keep the oil. Well, they went in and they didn't keep the oil. And Iraq now has $350 billion in cash from the oil. And Iran, by us destroying Iraq, the military of Iraq, you know, for years they fought each other and they were equal sizes, equal everything. They were equal military partners. And for 1,000 years under different names, they would fight, a religious thing. They'd fight. They'd go 5 feet left, 5 feet right, 5 feet left, 5 feet right. Somebody would say they have gas. Somebody would say they have nuclear. Then they'd rest for a few years and they'd fight again. But we blew the hell out of one side, Iraq. So now Iraq is a subsidiary, essentially, of Iran. Congratulations for the geniuses that got us into that mess. Because Iran essentially controls, and that was the other thing. When I was president, Iran was broke. They had no money. I said to China, if you buy, they bought a lot of oil. I said, if you buy anything, but if you buy oil from Iran, we are going to do something to you. What's that? You're not going to do any business in the United States. He said, well, that's the end of buying oil from Iran. Every country was told that. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for anything. Then Biden comes in and he takes the he takes all of the sanctions off. And they go out, and now Iran has $223 billion. Congratulations. And we're the only ones for 5 hostages. We just paid $6 billion. And for electricity for Iraq, we just paid $10 billion. And think of it, Iraq has billions of dollars that we're paying for their electricity. So we were in a position, there was no terror, there was no threat, there was no nothing. And now Iran has become a big threat again. And I tell you, I see a lot of flags from right out of Israel, right? That's right out of Israel. But remember, I said it a month ago, and it's a terrible thing to say, but I believe it. Many of the hostages that you're waiting for and everybody's waiting for, those hostages, many of them are dead. Many of them are dead. And it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. But many of those hostages are dead. And that's why when you see these negotiations where Hamas is like not getting back, they're saying, man, we could make a good deal, but these people are no longer alive. When I saw the way they were treated, when I saw the way they were thrown into the cars and how horribly they were treated, there's no way that those hostages, and some will be alive, but many of those hostages are dead. It's a very serious, horrible thing. It would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. It would have never happened if I were your president. They would have never done it. Because we have so many young people here today, I want to talk about, just for a moment, about success. Do you remember I used to give talks on success before politics? Okay, that's enough. We're going to do it. I know you're on our side, but it's enough. We're going to get them home. It's a rough situation. But remember, we used to give talks on success for the learning addicts and for others. And I used to do that before politics. And maybe it's one of the reasons I went in. But because, well, bringing our city back, it starts with getting the right leadership. It also involves men and women just like you. But I talk a lot about success, and I get paid money to talk about success. I would have done it for nothing. But then because of politics, and if you take a look, because of politics, I stopped doing that. But I think we're in the Bronx. We have young people, people that aspire to success. And I just wanted to know, I'm so tired of politics. Can we devote 6 minutes to success? Okay. So for all of you young people, I think it's, look, I've been through tremendous, I've had great success. I've had it in entertainment. I've had it in business. I've had it in politics. I ran for office. What office did you run for? President? How'd you do? I won. Actually, I won twice. We did much better the second time. So, we got millions more votes the second time. But it doesn't compare to this time. There is so much more. We had tremendous enthusiasm. when we, I don't call her Crooked Hillary anymore. I call her Beautiful Hillary because I took crooked and used it for Joe. I don't like using it for two people. But we had tremendous enthusiasm in 2016. We had unbelievable more enthusiasm in 2020 because we did such a good job. In fact, one of the big problems in 2016 was the wall. It was the border. I fixed it so good that I couldn't talk about it in 2020. I kept saying to my people, I want to talk about the wall. I want to talk about the great job I did on immigration. I stopped people from coming in. They said, sir, nobody cares. You already fixed it. I said, this is a terrible thing. You fix it, you can't talk about it. But let's talk about, for the young people, just to listen for a couple of minutes, because we've been talking about politics so long, I'm OD'd. You know what that means? I'm OD'd on politics. I'm OD'd on Trump. I turn on the television, Trump, 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 all different stories, Trump. They're driving us crazy. So I believe in the expression. Did you ever hear this expression? The harder you work, the luckier you get. You know who said that? A great golfer named Gary Player. He was smaller than other golfers, but he worked harder than other golfers. And he ended up with the most career wins of any golfer. He ended up with 9 majors. And, he was small in stature, but big right up here. But he made that say, it was the first time I ever heard about it. He said, it's a funny thing happens. The harder I work, the luckier I get. That was an athlete saying that. Amazing, right? It's the first time I heard it. Probably been said by others, but it's true. I can tell you, if you didn't work really hard, there is very little chance that I would be standing here right now. Another part of success is something I learned from my father. I had a wonderful father, wonderful parents. I'm lucky. You got to be lucky. Got to get great parents. If you're going to spend your life working really hard, you have to love it. You have to pick something that you really enjoy. Sometimes your parents will say, don't do that. But you got to a little bit, in that case, you got to follow your own way. You got to love it. Ideally, you're going to love something where there's a potential, because there are some things you love, but it's not going to do you so good. So ideally, fall in love with something that's good. Some people go into a business where it's a very hard business. If you can go into a business, that's an easier business and do well. But I see it all the time. Somebody has every ingredient for success, smart, brilliant, everything's good. But they're in a business where you hit your head on the wall. It's a very tough business. Try finding something where it's a great business with a great future, and there are plenty of them out there. My father taught me about construction, but what I really learned from him was that he worked 7 days a week because he really loved to do it. I mean, he would work on Sunday, he'd go to church in the morning, and then he'd go and work. And I know some people that don't believe in working on Sunday. You couldn't keep him away from work, but he loved working, and he was happy. He was married for a long time. That's one thing I'm not going to top him on. He was married. He was married for a long time, decades and decades. I said, Pop, I'm not going to beat you on that one. Never going to beat you. But because his work made him happy, but he was happy when he worked, and he was successful, and he knew what he was doing. He'd build a house on one side of the street. Somebody else would build a house on the other side of the street. And he'd build his house faster, better, cheaper, and he'd sell it for less money. The other guy would build the house for more money, take him longer, couldn't sell it. My father would go buy the house for less money than it cost him to build the first one, and he'd sell it. And in the old days, a long time ago, his brother was a professor at MIT. My father worked, he was a little younger than my father. My father put him to school. He went to MIT, very brilliant guy, Professor John Trump, the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 41 years, I believe. Dr. John Trump. My father used to tell me I used to go crazy. Your uncle was always getting degrees. I had to keep building for your uncle to get him through college. He was always up there getting degrees. But he was at MIT for 41 years, a brilliant guy. He used to talk to me about nuclear because he was a nuclear genius, along with a genius about everything else. And he used to say that someday there'll be a time when a small package carried by hand can blow up an entire city. And I said, no way, Uncle John, that's never going to happen, Uncle John. Guess what? He was right a long time ago that he said it. But my father would price a house. And I'd say, how did you price in those days, Dad? He said, pricing was everything. He said, I'd sell a house for $3,999.99. And that one penny made the difference between selling it and not. One penny. If I made it $4,000, I wouldn't sell. But psychologically, $3,999.99. And he sold houses, and guys wouldn't sell them. But he used to tell me that one penny sounds crazy, but it wasn't crazy. Psychologically, people thought they were buying it for $3,000, not $4,000. It's sort of like getting an 89 on a test in school or a 90. A 90 is an A, and an 89, 1 point, is a B plus. Another lesson: when times are tough, sometimes that's when you perform the best. You have to learn that about yourself. You have to learn it about yourself. Are you okay? Are you guys okay? Oh, okay. Take your time. Yeah. Take your time. Doctor, any doctor, please? Doctor in the house. Thank you. Are you okay? You take your time, darling. Yeah. Yeah. Take your time. Take your time, Doc. We have time. Some people waited here for 2 days. It's tough. It's tough. Thank you. Plenty of time. That's good. Water. She all right? She okay? She doing all right? She doing okay? Thank you. Plenty of time. Okay? You okay? Thank you. Doctor, thank you very much, doctors. Got a lot of doctors in the house. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling. That's great. That's great. Great job. People do a fantastic job here. But it's hot, and it's been a long wait, right? Long wait. Thank you very much, doctor. Appreciate it. Thank you. I know she's going to be okay because she's so tough. Some of the greatest days of my business career were in the toughest times, but I enjoyed waking up every single morning and go to battle. A lot of people say to me today, the toughest business people, people that you know about, could I ask you a question? How do you do it? I say, do what? How do you get up in the morning and put your pants on? Where do you put the pants on? I'll explain it to you someday. How do you do it? How do you get up? How do you do it? How can you want to do with what you do? They're after you. They're after you. These horrible human beings are after you all the time. Impeachment hoax #1, impeachment hoax #2, lawsuits all up. And they're doing it to injure the political opponent of an incompetent candidate because he can't run fairly and squarely. And I say, you know what I do? I just do it. I put on the blinders. I say, I just do it. We do it. And the other question they ask me is, will it happen again? And we have to make it too big to rig. We got a lot of great people watching. We have to make it too big to rig. But one of the things you need in success is momentum. You need momentum. You got to have And when you have that momentum going, there's nothing that can stop you. And I tell the story of Bill Levitt. Bill Levitt was a great real estate man, great Levitt towns all over the country. One of the most successful real estate people at a certain age ever. And he built these massive towns that were, there was nothing like them at the time, and very successful. And he was offered a lot of money to sell to a big public company. And he decided to take it. He was a young man. He was in his 40s. And he said, darling, I'm going to take it. Told his wife, I want to take the money. And for 20 years, he went out, he bought a yacht. He lived a beautiful life. He lived in the south of France. But he got bored. And 21, 22 years later, he said, I want to make a comeback. I can't stand this life anymore. I want to make a comeback. And he went to the company that he sold to, a big public company that did very poorly. They had no idea what they were doing. He used to, by the way, he used to pick up every nail, every piece of wood, he used to sell the sawdust, everything. He would say every penny was a major event. And now you had this big public company. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. So he went back and he made him an offer. They didn't want to sell, and he paid a little more. And he ended up buying it for an okay price. And he was so happy. He said, now I can go back to work. And he went back, and everything he touched turned bad. The market turned on him. The jobs turned on him. He was no longer able to get zoning. He was spending a fortune. He had just purchased it for a lot of money. And he ended up going bankrupt. He was bankrupt. And I was young when I met him. And I was at the party of a very big person, big public company person. And Bill Levitt was there. And I was in the real estate business, so I knew who he was. And you probably indirectly know who. And everybody was shunning him a little bit. Nobody cared about him anymore. But I did. And I went over to him and I say, hi, Mr. Levitt, I'm Donald Trump. I know it. I was doing great. I was sort of like a hot guy. I was hot as a pistol. I think I was hotter than I am now, and I became president, okay? I don't know. I said to somebody, was I hotter before or hotter now? I don't know. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares, right? But he knew who I was. And I went up, I said, so are you okay? And he said, I'm not really okay. I made a mistake that I'll never forget. And he was, by this time, a pretty old guy. And he was sitting in the corner of this magnificent Fifth Avenue apartment where there were 25 very successful people. But I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to find out what happened because he lost everything. Everybody knew it. It's very public. And I said, what happened exactly? What happened? He said, son, I lost my momentum. I had something going that couldn't be stopped. And I should have just stayed. I lost my momentum. And I've never forgotten the term. If you lose your momentum, you got to figure it out. But Bill Levitt lost his momentum and he died penniless. And he was the biggest real estate person on the planet. And I've never forgotten that story. It was a sad story. He was a good man, too. I thought he was a good man, but did an unbelievable job. Today, you have Levitt towns all over the country and pretty amazing. But you have to always keep moving forward. And when it's your time, you have to know it's your time. And I said to myself, in terms of politics, I said, you know what? We did so well in number one. We did even better in number two. I said, we got to do it again because you have to do it. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it to make America great again. If I didn't think we easily won, I would never do this. Because you know what? In many ways, it's easier. You have a winner, you have a loser. It's okay. I won once. It was a big upset, I guess. I don't know why it was an upset. Because I'd go and I'd have 50,000 people at a rally. She'd go and have 200 people. And then they say, why did I win Michigan? Why did I win Pennsylvania? Why did I win all these states that a Republican hadn't won in many years? Why? And by the way, we're up in Pennsylvania. We're up in Michigan. We're up in New Hampshire today. We're up in Florida at numbers that you wouldn't even believe. But I also think it's very important to know what you want. You have to set your sights high, set your sights so high, higher than you ever thought possible, and make your goals big and go after it. That's why I say we won't just make New York a little better. I say we want to make New York a lot better.
All right, guys, I am going to sign off now. I said I would sign off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, but you guys catch my next video at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. It is very interesting. I ask that you share it, like, comment. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe and share it with everyone. Watch it to the end. Guys, thank you so much for supporting me. You all be blessed. Love God, love your families. And as I always say, march on, warriors.